Fall of Angels, a novel by StoryMan-Jack. And the peoples of the world saw them, the people of the sky, angels from heaven's fall. They came to earth upon light, and were good. They healed the sick and fed the starved. They called themselves the sons of man, and we called them the people of the sky, though they insisted they were equal to our lowest. 9. The people. Adam watched the little village from his perch, up upon a bluff, under some cover. Eve had adapted quickly to Lily's body, and she was full of information about the fauna and the few predatory animals that had been cataloged by Father. Adam watched the slight figures of the village move about their daily lives. They laughed, they cried. Children skinned their knees while at play. He came to the conclusion that humanity was always the same, even in a race that had no connection to human beings, or so was understood. They showed humanity, as he had always understood it to be, the universal truth. We all love our children. We all love to laugh and enjoy, and we love to struggle. All sentient beings cared in some base level for one another. He believed that this as he watched a mother care for her child who'd fallen and slid in the gravel that had been spread around the city of the little town. Adam watched in amazement as wagoners delivered produce or fish from some farm or the harbor. They all laughed and worked together to unload their hauls. There was a brotherhood, even the same as people he had known back in his time. Granted, most farming and fishing was now done by machines when he had grown up, but a group of laborers joking and working together was the same, even if they were separated by the lack of community and struggle. The awkwardness Eve had in integrating her motor function and controlling this new body took only a fraction of the time it should have, and Adam suspected that Lily's nanites had something to do with that. On the third night, she had told them that she had more than just information for them, but instructions on how to adapt the nanites to the alien energy that now laced the earth. There is something fundamentally wrong with this set of facts, Seth told them, frowning. Adam thought he had missed something as well, but he didn't want to voice that concern to the others and just let Seth follow his thought. How can our nanites function as normal, if not supernormal, when activated by this alien energy, if no other technology could survive this cataclysm and is incompatible completely with the energy? The captain nodded, but frowned. Well, obviously the Father's has ways around it, right? Or he'd have disappeared a long time ago and not guided us in as he did. Eve cleared her throat. Because the nanites are insulated by the human body, therefore immune to the phenomena that render other electronics and effects technology useless. The theory is that the energy at a basic level would be compatible with our technology, but is so much more powerful than our electrical wattage norms that it blows everything out that it contacts. Therefore, it cannot be measured. Seth shrugged. Hell, that's as good a possibility as anything, I suppose. Adam didn't buy it, though. He had a feeling that something else was going on, something he knew he didn't really want to get to the bottom of, because of what that would really mean. So Eve taught them, and Adam figured she taught herself at the same time, how to let the nanites pull the energy and change it to something useful. Because of the alien nature of the energy, it could be used to evade or circumvent certain rules of physics and biomechanics. Wait a second, Seth said, holding up his head. What do you mean rules and biomechanics? he asked. Are you telling me that we can heal with this energy? Eve nodded with Lily's head, an expression so reminiscent of her when she'd been Lily, instructing others on cartography or navigational dynamics or mathematics in general. Her gift was for mathematics, and Adam had to admit that Eve was equal in every way on that score. If the nanites focus the energy in that direction, however, it may be limited. Limited how? Adam asked. Eve smiled. To the knowledge of the healer. In order for a condition or injury to be healed, with one funneling this power, one must understand the nature of the condition or energy or injury and how the affected could be fixed or the disease driven from the body. And it takes a certain amount of energy from the user as well. Adam understood. So I might be able to heal a broken leg, if it's not too bad, or a cut or a burn, because I've been educated on appropriate measures to use to treat such things out in the field, as we all have. But for some disease or some sort of cardiovascular condition, then Seth would be best able to use the power to correct the issue, if possible. Exactly. However, there is no guarantee of success even with Seth's vast knowledge. How so? If this miracle power is what you say it is, Seth asked. This energy, as you call it, is psychoactive, Eve told them. Psycho what? Adam asked. She means that it responds to changes in the user's emotional state. Eve nodded. So, if you do not want to heal a person, or you cannot be forced to, or if you do not believe that it can be done, it won't be. Adam nodded. As crazy as this is, does mean that it's alive, this energy? Not in such, just that the energy emitted changes. And that energy, as it is emitted from our emotional state, causes the energy to react, Eve said. So if I'm angry, what? Destruction. Most likely fire, she said, and then grimaced. Rage would be much, much worse. I'm assuming the user must be what? Holding the energy for the emotional state to affect the outcome? Seth asked. Indeed, she smiled brightly. They'd all come to the conclusion that it is best to work with the energy when completely devoid of emotional state, to meditate beforehand or something similar, though it was hard to get the handle of it while learning, because frustration loomed behind the mask of civility. The first time he'd been able to do anything, the release of the power, in Adam's case to move a boulder along a trail, was overwhelmingly painful. Like all of the nerves and every microscopic nanometer of his skin was on fire all at the same time as the energy was released at the object. And this, as it turned out, had been his fault. Without focusing the energy out of some point, for example, his hand, it had emitted from his skin, from his very pores. Eve did state that the father theorized that more use of the energy would acclimate the user to the feedback that caused such issues. But again, the answer was focus. They all experimented and tested themselves and what they could do with this energy. As Eve had hinted, the uses and measure of those uses depended on the individual. Seth was very skilled in the growing of things and the repair of trauma and the biological needs, but could do nothing with elements. Adam, though, he could enhance the health of a living thing, at least with plants. He could do little more than strengthen their own innate health, but he could move earth, he could call fire, and he could direct lightning with his hands, and that power frightened him. Such power as a human should never have, could never hope to keep from being corrupted by. On the night before they'd crested the ridge above the little village nestled against the large inland sea, Adam broached the subject with Eve to see if the information she had obtained from the ship and ultimately father could help with his dilemma. You know, we don't have any right to hold this power. No mortal being should. Eve just watched him, and Seth grunted. It is a terrible responsibility, he agreed, his face downcast. The woman whipped her head around to confront the medical man. You are a healer, and with prolong, we will live nearly forever. We might as well be immortal. She leaned toward them. Curiosity etched across her face. Would you not give just about anything to heal your patients as you have this plant life all these days that we've been traveling? Oh, yes, he told her without any doubt in his voice. But at what cost? He shook his head and pointed at an innocuous little plant with a lopsided blue flower and said, Prêtez. Slowly and deliberately. Oh, yes, he told her without any doubt in his voice. But at what cost, Eve? He shook his head and pointed at an innocuous little plant with a lopsided little blue flower and said, Prêtez. Slowly and deliberately. Adam recognized the word for the decomposing of things from an ancient language of the old earth, Latin. The little plant grew gray and then wilted under the will of the doctor. Adam shook his head. Here is the problem, he told them both. We end up back home to a planet that has pretty much been reset, as if we needed to do it all over again. The perfect set of ecosystems powered by what I can only call magic. The natural world in perfect balance and pristine. And we just so happen to return just in time to give this new earth ideas and biases that come from an age that the people here and other beings could never possibly understand. And we just happen to be tailor-made to manipulate this magical energy. He looked over at the woman. With more ease than come to most native to this world, I'm sure. Eve sat down, surprise etched on her face. It was as if she had been looking for an answer and didn't find it. And then she did something new. Something that wasn't of Lily or anything Eve would have done. She stopped. The very breath stopped from coming from her body, and she seemed a statue, unnaturally still, like she wasn't even a living thing, like the nanites, like a robot. The strangeness continued as she tilted her head just a moment, like a confused puppy. Only her face was as blank as the stone face of a sheer cliff, if a puppy were being played by an automaton. But then she began to speak, and slowly, ever so slowly, the two strange and distinct accents blending together. There are things, she said, worry momentarily masking her confusion. There are items of fact and history, both natural and social, that have been deliberately removed. And the data stream that we shared with Father seems to not have been a stream at all, but information unlocked, as if it were always there since the beginning of our mission. Could you explain that again? Blank spots? And, like, The information on the magic, did that come from a time before we even left? Adam asked, almost demanded. Like someone's been tampering with all your data? Not just the information that was pertinent to our personnel and needs for the mission? Seth's eyebrows rose. Eve grimaced. Father hasn't told us everything because he must be manipulating us in some way. But remember, Lucy was doing things and had pretty much free reign inside our systems. If Adam had been angry, now he felt betrayed. Though Eve was correct that Lucifer could have done some of this, but there were clues that Father had continually and steadily left on purpose, because it was so blatant that nothing that noted everything he'd ever been told and raised by and instructed was a manipulation. They all learned steadily about the magic, and with trial and errors, manipulated it and focused it. He could call it nothing else. It was magic, though he had no tools that he could use to measure the energy with, or even conceive of. They'd used it to warm themselves, to kill food, and to find berries and other plant life that would sustain them, though pickings were sparse. Once, Seth had even found a way to ward off a pack of wolves from the camp. Now, Adam knew what wolves were supposed to look like. There were some in zoos and natural habitats around the earth, even in his own time. But these monsters looked like what dire wolves must have looked in ancient times. If we come across saber-toothed tigers, I won't be surprised, he had told the others, and they'd all shared a nervous chuckle. Eve had even scouted out a den of what could only have been some sort of giant proto-bear, its head wider and flatter than any other bear he'd ever seen, but it was a massive creature, as large as a small elephant. Eve seemed more disturbed than any of them. It was like the world had been reset. Her accent, as Seth pointed out, wavered between that of Lily's and the one that Ahai had replicated through the onboard speakers of the ship. Again, Adam shook the memories away and made his way back down to the small camp they left and kept hidden, and found a young native woman sitting and speaking quietly to Eve and Seth. The young lady stood, not human, and obviously so. She was a height with Eve, about 5'9". Her silver hair lifted and shifted in the breeze, showing the sharp points of her ears. Eve gestured. Adam, this is Terranara, the priestess of the village next to the lake. Adam smiled at the newcomer's ease. It is pleasant to meet you, Terranara. Be at ease, and we mean you or anyone else any harm. The woman did something then that Adam would never have suspected. She knelt, bowing her head. And though we do not hold with your religion of the humankind, it is clear that their prophecy is coming to pass, my lord. Adam stepped forward, knelt, and lifted the strange woman's face by her chin gently. Why do you greet me this way? He paused, thinking of the words she used. Prophecy. I'm no lord. I'm a man, nothing more. The son of another man, and a man traveling with his friends on a purpose. She let him lift her to her feet, but spoke with respect. They shall fall from the sky. She pointed off in the distance. 2 fell. 2 stars fell from the sky. 1 close and 1 far. Before any of them could speak, she continued. They shall fall, and then they shall approach the people, and with gentle hand insist he is the equal to the least of the people. But he is the Atom, one of the first sons of God. Adam smiled. Atom? The woman nodded. Very close, wouldn't you say? Seth spoke. Obviously, Father has seeded the world with rumors of our return. He shook his head angrily. Just another manipulation, I see. Return? Tarina asked. You mean it's true? Those who are lost will return, and in their return they will command the towers of heaven once more, and defend the world from the darkness to come that we've been absent from all these years? Adam nodded, understanding what was happening, and anger breathing alive in his chest. Father never expected them to find a new world. Their mission was to fix this one, the one he had always planned to break. Goddamn manipulations. Goddamn experiments. In that moment, Adam Alpha, prophesied savior and captain of a technological miracle that the world would never see again, was destined to rule them. From their point of view, it was the fulfillment of a prophecy. To Adam, it was the Father manipulating them through the eons upon eons. Do we have a choice? Eve asked, understanding what Adam was thinking, watching his eyes. Tarina cut in. Why? You always have a choice. That is the point of the human's religion, is it not? And what about yours? Seth began, also understanding that they would have to discuss the revelation in private. What is your religion about? The woman chuckled. We are elves. We do not have a religion as you would understand it. There's no codexes or statutory sins or rules of behavior. We revere life, power of growth, the power of the very magic that infests this world. That is our goddess, the great Gaia, our only care. I am a priestess of this village, and I am a healer, the counselor, and I nurture the earth with our reverence for it. Though it's not the home of we lost it. We lost eons ago, but it is alive, and it speaks through us, even as our homeworld had. You are people, remember? It has been a very long time since the cataclysm. The elf woman nodded. Humans have forgotten. It has been so many generations, their short lives, and their memories have dulled and blurred and been erased. Only the prophecies of their religions remain. But the people live long lives. To humans, we are immortal, for we only pass to the next place after we complete our purpose. After you complete what purpose? Adam asked, intrigued. Whatever our individual purpose is by. It comes to us, and eventually, and once complete, our bodies begin to age. She said, even as you are angels, we are immortal. Or rather, we live just as long as we need to live. Though, it has been generations for some of us as well. Adam had a thought. Are there prophecies about the other side? This darkness that is coming? Aye, the law of shadows speaks of the Zatan, who rules the depths of the lands of fiery Hela. No, most believe this a myth. We need a place to rest, and a way to trade for food or instruction on the regions we'll be traveling through, Adam told the elf maid. And just where are you going, angels? As if I didn't know, she asked. The towers of heaven, of course, Eve said. If you have injured or ill, she nodded over at Seth, who stood, we can heal and trade. A bright smile spread across the priestess of the people. And so, it is true. Be calm. We have one who would need your gentle ministrations, angel. She bowed. He is a stubborn old man who insists on doing things healthy young men balk at. Yet, as you perceive, he may, in fact, remember your father. You will be tested by our elders, who aren't as apt to believe in things as those of us who are less experienced might, and a number of those may have remembered your father as well. Why do you call us that? Adam asked. Angels? Well, what else would you call those that fall from heaven upon light of a falling star? The woman said, and then turned her back and led them down into the village. Thank you for joining us for this telling of chapter 8 of the Fall of Angels. I hope you're enjoying it so far. In the next episode that's coming has already been done and recorded and is uploaded, scheduled to be released. I'm doing one every other time, one of this one and one of another one. And that one will deal with more with Lucifer's side of the story. So if you enjoy this, please like it. And if you would, share it. And if you haven't subscribed and this is your first time on listening to one of my stories, please consider doing so and encouraging others to do so as well. I want to thank you and ask you to have a great night. And remember, your life is your story. Make it a great one.